Robert Neville is the only person left after a terrible disease changed everyone into scary monsters. He walks alone in New York City, shouting for any survivors and trying to find a cure with his blood. Neville knows he is surrounded by these monsters and that they are just waiting for him to make a mistake. Can his determination help him beat the odds and find a way to fix everything? The movie begins in a TV interview where Dr. Crippen discusses her remarkable finding that she has genetically altered the measles virus to target cells with cancer. She notes that every cancer patient on whom her treatment has been tried so far has made a full recovery. 3 years later, the scene changes. It is evident that New York City is no longer inhabited and has become a barren wasteland. The city is silent, the highways are lined with abandoned cars, and the grass covers the buildings and roadways. The end of the world appears to be near. Robert Neville and his dog Sam are traveling across the abandoned city. A herd of deer crosses his path, and he swiftly pursues them in his car. We discover it's a hunt when he tries to shoot them. The deer broke away and fled down a lane blocked by abandoned vehicles. Neville pursues the animal on foot in an attempt to bring it down. He puts the deer in his sights as he rounds a corner, only to have a lion that most likely escaped from the NYC Zoo beat him to the kill. Robert can't decide whether to shoot the lion and its family or let them handle the deer when they show up. Robert leaves with Sam behind as his watch alarm begins to chime. Neville's house is seen. Despite being an ordinary American detached house, it is in the heart of a conflict zone. Sam and Robert seem to have spent a typical evening watching TV and eating processed food. Neville uses enormous steel shutters to secure, lock, and close all the doors and windows after a bath. Rifle in hand, he sleeps with Sam in the bathtub while the house is filled with screams. In his visions, he sees Sam, his pet, Marley, his wife Zoe, and their child trying to flee New York. Robert is seen wearing a military uniform. Being a military doctor, he decided to stay in New York to try to halt the epidemic. Marley has been informed that they are on vacation. Neville wakes up and confronts his lonesome reality, breaking the dream sequence. Robert works out at his fortress-like house and descends to the basement, where he maintains a modest but cutting-edge lab. It is evident that he has been conducting trials for a vaccine against the virus responsible for the extinction of most of humanity. In an attempt to discover a workable treatment, he has tested the vaccination on a few mice, just one of hundreds. Except for one, every mouse exhibits extreme aggression. Robert takes notice of the mouse and decides that a particular substance is suitable for testing on humans. Robert's lone interaction with the human form occurs when he visits a video rental store and starts a conversation with a few mannequins he has set up. It appears he made himself a game to save himself from going insane. Later, while looking for supplies, he goes to some adjacent condo apartments and finds 2 cribs in one room and a bed covered in plastic wrap in another. He sympathizes with the loss of loved ones, and we can feel the grief in his eyes. Neville's radio message, which is broadcast on all AM radio stations, is later heard by us. It states that he is still alive, and that he will be waiting for other survivors at the bay's docks every day at noon. Robert and Sam chase a deer that Sam spots once again. Despite Robert's attempts to stop him, Sam pursues the deer after it runs into a ground-level ancient structure. Robert goes inside the building because Sam refuses to come back. Robert looks around the dimly lit rooms. Beneath an old desk, he discovers Sam's and the deer's corpses. Then, a male infected appears out of the shadows to assault Robert. He is shot and killed. Sam and Robert begin fleeing through the structure. They are pursued by a few more infected who emerge. After battling them all, they are both able to exit the structure. Robert quickly sets up a trap to capture one of the infected. When he succeeds, he brings the captive female to his lab at home. The woman passes out after he tries the vaccine, which makes the mouse less hostile. With an adrenaline shot, he brings her back to life, and he keeps modifying his serums in the hopes of discovering a treatment. That evening, he had flashbacks of the time when he attempted to flee New York with his wife and child amid the turmoil of the evacuation. He experiences the fear and panic of the streets as the city's residents attempt to flee before the infected seize control. When Neville wakes up again, his face is very depressed. He realizes it's his birthday in the morning. His mannequins have been moved. He discovers when he visits the video store. The same trap he set for them the day before was laid by the infected throughout the night. Neville collapses after falling victim to the trap. He is severely injured, hanging upside down and bleeding as he wakes up. Sam is patiently awaiting his arrival. Just before dusk, he manages to release himself, but he trips over his knife and impales his leg. Then the infected leader shows up with a pack of infected dogs ready to attack Robert. Sam steps in to defend him, and he manages to crawl back to his car, get a pistol, and kill the infected dogs. Upon observing Sam's fall due to a bite wound, he gets her up and places her in the car. Upon arriving home, he positions Sam on a table and administers an experimental vaccine to her. When Sam tries to bite Neville and her hair starts to fall out, the vaccine doesn't work, and he has to murder her by strangling her while she struggles in his arms. As he bids his only friend farewell, tears roll down his cheeks. After that, he goes and buries her in the public space. In a fit of anguish, he intends to confront all of the infected. He drives his SUV at high speed through the crowds of infected people roaming the streets at night. He nearly runs off the pier and crashes, with the infected overturning his SUV. As he is about to die, a dazzling light shines on him, and he blacks out. While blacked out, he has another dream about the past. This time, he dreams about the helicopter his wife and child used to flee New York. As it takes off, a nearby helicopter is ambushed by the infected and collides with the helicopter carrying his family. He awakens in his home to Shrek playing on the television and stitches in his knife wound. Anna and her son Ethan rescued him after hearing Robert's radio transmission and going to find him the day before. Anna reveals her plan to leave New York and travels to a colony of immune survivors in Vermont. On the other hand, Robert claims that he prefers to be alone and that such a location does not exist. Later that evening, Robert discovers that the infected are attacking the house. The night before, they had followed Anna back after she rescued Robert. Despite Robert's extensive home defenses, the infected outnumber them and break through the shutters to enter the house. Robert, Anna, and Ethan retreated to the basement lab. During the heated combat, Robert notices that the sick female he had captured and tested the viral vaccine on has returned to her human form. Alpha Vampire creates cracks in the glass chamber in the shape of a butterfly, signifying that he wants the female back. Robert takes her drug drip and moves her outside the glass chamber, stating he is listening to God. Neville learns it's related to the butterfly-shaped tattoo on the female Darkseeker's neck, and the alpha male and his followers are merely attempting to find his mate. Neville lowers his rifle and returns the girl. Neville and the alpha male stare each other down, and Neville apologizes after observing the latter's emotional reaction to his mate's return. The alpha vampire warns the other vampires not to attack Robert, who now vaccinates the female to revert her to vampire form. The alpha vampire takes her up and leaves with the other vampires, while Robert apologizes to them for murdering other vampires during his tests. Once they've left, a stunned Neville glances at the many photos of his test victims. He realizes he's become a monster in the eyes of the infected, expressing regret for the experiments he's carried out over time. The following day, Neville abandons his studies and travels to Vermont with Anna and Ethan, a transformed man, in pursuit of the survivors' colonies. Robert, Anna, and Ethan now live together and continue to hunt for more human survivors by sending signals via AM broadcasts. They cross the George Washington Bridge while Anna offers an optimistic monologue that concludes with the words, "You are not alone."